I had planned to film this video and get it uploaded yesterday, but on Saturday I twisted my ankle in a lava cave and I didn't think I'd make it up the stairs or back down again. So it's a little late, but I have a finish and another whip update and new starts for my birthday month. Hi Flosstube, I'm Michelle. This is my romantic tangle. I will tell the cave story at the end, but let's start at my first finish for the year, which is Winter Holly Inn by Pinker and Pumpkin Quilting. At the point that I started this, I like having these small portable projects for when I just maybe have a few minutes to stitch that might turn into an hour or two. This one didn't quite fit that bill because it doesn't have nearly as many blocks of color as her other houses. The bricks split it up a lot more, but oh my gosh, can I tell you how much I love this one? It has so much neat little detail. I think this particular house looks a little bit foreboding with those dark windows with the heavy shutters, but shutters, window frames, something like that. I am not an architect. I love this one. I am so glad that I printed it out and started it and got it done. And the reason I got it done is because I knew I was going into my birthday month. I have been planning since last year to try this again and start a bunch of new projects for my birthday. So in the last few days of February, I pulled out another UFO from the UFO pile to get my 1,000 stitches in on it, and I pulled out carps. I don't even know why I pulled out this one. It's one of the ones I definitely want to finish, but I had a fear that I was not going to be able to easily find my place. That fear was so misguided, I cannot even tell you. There's some little red stitches here, and I found them on my project. I found them on the pattern, and that was exactly the landmark that I needed to get going. If I did not have my plans for March calling to me, I would have kept going on this for a lot longer. I really felt on the 27th and 28th like I was at a crossroads and I needed to make a decision. Do I put all the UFOs aside until April, which was my original plan, or do I give up on my March plan and keep going on these? And the colors of this one, I love fish, I love water, but the colors. And if you'd see, the fish are against the back. It's top down looking at the fish. There's a background of pebbles here. This is just all kinds of fun to stitch. And I would be 100% saying that I was going to get it done this year, except for the border. This is 10 count Aida, and all around this 2-inch border are little bits of the image that stretch into them. I cannot leave the blank Aida unstitched because I'm fine with exposed Aida, but 10 count is ugly. So I have a couple of ideas, like stitching 100 stitches on the border every time I pick it up before I get to the fun stuff. This is something to worry about later. Actually, it is not something to worry about at all. It is a decision to make later. On to my birthday starts. I used to absolutely love Stitch Mania. I don't think I participated the last year, but something about starting a bunch of projects willy-nilly without a huge plan just really appeals to me. I found one of my old Stitch Mania start lists a few weeks, months, whatever's ago, and it surprises me how many of those actually became finished projects. Because pulling the floss and gritting the fabric and getting everything set up, that is a commitment. Doing it with the knowledge that I'm going to work on this for a day and then I'm going to put it aside and put it back up later means that later I've got all these things that I really want to stitch. They are ready to go and started. For the past few years, I've been whittling away at my UFO pile, and so many of those were things I started as Flossmania projects, and some of them were things I started and immediately went, nope, I'm not going to stitch this. Then picked it up on a whim, usually late at night, and didn't put it down again until it was done. So I tried this last year. It did not work last year because I started Coffee Pot and could not put it down and scrapped the idea to do Coffee Pot. start to finish. That is not a bad thing, but all the projects I had on my list for last year have just been quietly waiting for this year. The one that I think is going to ambush me and distract me, I'm saving till later in the month. One of my favorites that I wanted to start was this one. This is Girl on the Pier. It is by, I don't know who it is by, Brave Patterns. I will find the link and post it. The designer is Hannah Levchuk. They have a whole bunch of these round designs with women, young ladies, girls. I don't know. All you can see is the top of her head. I love this one. I have a thing for dogs. I started it yesterday and I had so much fun. I could easily keep stitching on this one. What I did was I picked a color that made sense. I'm starting at the top middle, because starting at the side seemed, as far as manipulating the chart, a little harder. I don't do Pattern Keeper or any of that. I picked a shade of blue. I did 150-ish stitches in that shade of blue. Then I filled in a little bit of another shade of blue, and then I started on the fish, because the fish have a lot of different colors with only a few stitches of each color. So by having multiple fish going, that meant I could use up a whole strand. And for all of these shades of blue, I love the way they play together. But in order to keep track of where I am a huge fan of landmarks in my cross stitch. And those fish are just the perfect little landmarks in all of this blue water. To get my stuff all organized, I love these mesh bags. In some kind of perfect world, I would have carefully curated hand-sewn bags for every project. I'm a quilter, I have a sewing machine, I have fabric. I could do an extraordinary amount of bags, but every time I make a bag, I wind up using it for something else. I will say that these Dollar Tree placemat bags I made a while back are awesome. And this one works with the carp because the colors. Pumpkins and carp have nothing to do with one another, but they're all orange. I needed more bags. I also love these bags for when you open up a kit to take a look at it and need to keep everything contained. Ziplocs are fine. I have no problem with Ziplocs at all, or any other kind of bag. But I like these. You can see through them and see what's in there. I found a whole pack of 24 of them on Amazon. They worked out to like 50 cents a piece. They're a little thinner than the ones from Walmart. They're not as aesthetically nice feeling, although it depends on if you think plastic feels nice. You can feel the threads through them more, but they were dirt cheap. I'm thinking of buying a second bundle because I'm going through organizing my stash and putting things together, and I've got a lot of them, but more might be better. This morning I started traveling Sorcerer. I bought this one ages ago. I did an unboxing video of it. I really, really like it. And it is a small project. It is 30 by 21 centimeters, so that's something like 12 by 9. One of my goals for this year with starting all these projects is I want to give myself a good, solid start as best I can, so when I pick it up again, I will know where I left off and be able to plunge right in. I started in the upper left-hand corner, and this has such a moody, wonderful sky with the tree branches, and I knew I was going to get myself lost in those tree branches if I picked this up again 6 months or a year or 10 years from now. So I worked my way down to where there's a more distinctive shade of blue. And then because I got myself down to where I could do it and know I had it in the right spot, I started his staff. So landmarks are my thing. I love them. I am really loving this project. I went with the strategy, well, upper left is easy to start. I went with the strategy of stitching the most boring part first. I don't know who it was whose video suggested doing that, but it really makes more sense to do this before I get over here to the fun stuff. And no matter what I do, I'm going to have a boring corner at the end. But starting with the sky, I think, was a good plan for this one. I can see myself keeping stitching on this one too. Did I tell you I'm having fun with this? I gridded black fabric yesterday for tomorrow's start, and that was not nearly as fun. I had more trouble than I ever have gridding fabric and couldn't find my mistakes. And so I am counting, I am recounting, I am not being confident. If all goes well, I will start Witchy Stitchers. It's the dose that determines the poison, or whatever that wonderful one is called. Hopefully tomorrow. I got a text message from my mom with a picture of some hot iron transfers she wanted to know if I was interested in. Oh my gosh, I am obsessed. I was obsessed just from this image because I love the little anthropomorphic kitchen stuff that was so common in the old embroidery. And it's a food grinder, and I don't have a food grinder. And my husband collects food grinders in that sense that once you get 3 or 4 of a thing, it's a collection, not in having any expertise or much money invested in it at all. We just like food grinders. There's a vaculator. He found one of those at an estate sale, and apparently it was a really, really good find. I am still not entirely sure. I know it makes coffee, and that is all I know. Look at the hors d'oeuvres. This one is my favorite. I got to thinking about what colors to stitch them in. And then I got thinking of the old cookbooks that only had a few different colors because that was the budget, and a piece of fabric that I've had tucked away for 25 years. And oh my gosh, I have a plan, but the plan hinges upon finding that piece of fabric. I have several variations of several backup plans. One of them has to work. And hey, maybe by April, when I'm done with my new starts, I'll have found it. I want to recommend a video by Taylor Earle at Wool Needle Hands, when a knitting project becomes a big nope. And the sentiments in this video I don't think belong exclusively to knitting. She started a project. She was knitting Frog and Toad for one of her children and had visions of how they were going to play with these and love them when they were done. And I have done that so many times, making things for my own children. I learned early on that that sort of project is usually for me. If they love it, it's a bonus, but I'm doing it to fulfill my own whims. And I've got several projects up here in the attic that my kids are way too old. I am not knitting them for in the anticipation of future grandchildren. They are for me, and I will happily share them later if the opportunity arises. I think I might hoard them. There is a line in the video where she talks about steeking knitted eyeballs the size of a Cheerio. And I know what steeking is. I know what size a Cheerio is. I can't quite figure out how or why steeking eyeballs works in the construction of this particular frog, but oh my gosh, that sounds intimidating. I can understand why she decided not to do it. She does go into, though, discussing how just because she doesn't want to do all of that intricate, very specific manipulation of the stitches does not make it a bad pattern. And I really think, especially as cross stitchers, I've seen some people, it's too much confetti, it's too much of solid one color, it's not what I like, so it's bad. The designer didn't do it the way I wanted, so it was bad. And this video gives a wonderful perspective on how not for me does not mean a badly written pattern. And some patterns are badly written. Some patterns are badly written, but we know what we're doing, so we can just look at the pictures. And I could not tell you the last time. Actually, I could. I read the instructions for that stamped Charles Wysocki cross stitch and still couldn't figure it all out. But most of the time, we take what we need from the pattern and leave the rest. At least I do. I thought it was an interesting perspective. And in case you are wondering why I was in a cave to twist my ankle in the first place, my husband and I took our youngest 2 sons down to the Klamath Wildlife Refuge because the bald eagles are migrating, and life is fun like that right now. We saw, on the way to pick up a pizza near our house, 6 bald eagles in one tree last week. So honestly, we saw less eagles in the wildlife refuge than we do on the route to the grocery store, but it was still a tremendous amount of fun. And then we went down to the nearby national park to clamber around in some caves. They have, I think the brochure said 900 caves in the area. There are about a dozen that are signed and intended for people to prowl around in, and I messed up. I was reading the very well-written brochure that shows the difficulty levels of the cave, and I missed what section I was in, and the cave that was 300 feet long, I mean, that sounds good. Uneven ground, that sounds fine. Uneven ground in this case meant big rocks that have fallen from the ceiling and shift under you while you step on them. I wish I had filmed my son's depiction of how high he had to step to get over these. Down was fine. Up was more challenging because I am considerably shorter than my menfolk. But I made it. And then we did a really, really super easy one. And by then I was kind of tired. But there was another cave that the ranger had recommended. It is one of the easiest caves in the park. It was supposed to be just flat, straight in, straight out. My boys found side quests and detours. And at one point, we were still going down the main path, and one of them had looped around, and I could hear him behind us because he found a side tunnel he crawled through. My children are adults at this point. I can leave them in a cave if it comes to it. I wouldn't, but on the way out into the first cave, we passed a man who was coming out with 3 very young children. I think the oldest could not have been more than 7, and was in tears because caves are dark and scary. And I do not know how he maneuvered 3 very young children in there by himself. I mean, you could call it amazing parenting, or you should say maybe he should have done the one across the parking lot where you didn't even need flashlights. I'm not judging. Coming out the way back from cave number 3, we took a side tunnel because I don't know why. Maybe I shouldn't agree with my boys when they say everything will be okay. And I had read all the descriptions. I'm on anticoagulants. I do not want to whack my head on an unexpectedly low ceiling in a cave, because no. It got lower and lower. Not scary low, just enough that I was crawling because I did not want to bump my head. The boys were bent over at the waist. It opened up again. The ceiling got higher. I thought we were at the end, and nope, well, we say it dead ended. We turned around when the ceiling was 3 feet. Went back the other way. It was fine. It was fun. It was great. Got to where we could see daylight. I knew it was daylight because I recognized the rock that I'd kind of stumbled down earlier. We were maybe 10 feet from the exit to the cave when I put my foot down wrong on the rough, flat surface and bent my ankle in a direction that ankles should not bend. I'm fine. It just really, really hurt for the rest of the day. And yesterday I thought I could get up to the attic. I didn't want to slide back down the stairs on my butt. So I figure in those circumstances, it's better that a video is a day late. Hopefully you agree with me. Thank you for watching all of this. I will put a link to those mesh bags in the description just in case you want to go buy the same ones I got. It's an affiliate link, blah, blah, blah. I'm putting it there so that you can find the ones that I am talking about because, you know, Amazon is full of things, and sometimes I at least am not confident that I found the right things. These are the mesh bags that fit cross-stitch projects really good, and lots of other places sell them. I'll also put links to the unboxing of the Sorcerer's Journey and some of the other things I've referenced to in this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Michelle. This is my romantic tangle. I'm going to go see how my ankle likes the grocery store, and then I'm going to decide if I want to spend some more time today on that dark and ominous sky or if I want to get a few stitches in the next project on my list.